Hermanos de Soundcheck, nos encontramos en un momento de lujo. Una banda que viene desde Australia se encuentra con nosotros aquí en la República Mexicana. Tienen su material discográfico que ha sido bastante exitoso, de nombre Sonoscope. Es un verdadero placer platicar con Cut Copy. First of all, it's an honor. Thank you very much for your time in this interview.
Our pleasure.
Thank you.
Cool. Now, after 3 singles and a lot of time of this album, how can you describe the adventure of all the process, of the creating process and the final result about this album?
I guess it's the most fun record that we've worked on for a lot of ways because we decided early on we wanted to try and work on the record just ourselves and try and produce it, record it, do everything ourselves. So we kind of, I guess, without any advice really from producer or anyone like that, we just kind of set up our own way of making the record. I think all of our records are probably in some ways in the beginning like an imaginative process. You sort of try and imagine what you want to make, or I guess in this case we were imagining sort of like a sort of tropical other world that the music is coming from, and then sort of, I guess, make that happen, just sort of live that world, live that life, and the end result is Zonoscope.
And I think it's funny and it's interesting to start to experimenting with new sounds that probably you didn't do it with the before materials. How do you feel with that creativity that you have with this album?
Well, I think we wanted to get a new palette of sounds. And a lot of what we did in the early stages of making the record was just experiment with sounds that we hadn't used before. A lot of percussion instruments that we didn't really know how to play or how they worked, and we jammed a lot and just tried to create different rhythms and different sort of soundscapes that we thought were new for us, and that was definitely an important part of the process.
Cool. Now, a lot of people want to know if you already start the creating process of a new studio album, or not yet?
Not yet. I mean, I guess the process of making a record usually starts with just listening to music and drawing inspiration from other things, films, art, whatever. And so I guess we're doing that right now, but we haven't really maybe directly started working on stuff. We had many ideas left over from making Zonoscope, and maybe that will form the start for a new record, or maybe we'll do something completely different. I guess it's a bit early to tell, but I guess we're always thinking about, or at least I am always thinking about sort of what the next thing will be, and I guess looking for inspiration and sort of, diverse sort of ideas and sounds that might kind of form a start for the new record.
Now, you just talk about movies as an inspiration. What could be the last movie that you watched that you say, okay, this could inspire me for a future music song or whatever?
The last one. I mean, I guess we're sort of all pretty interested in film culture. So, there's probably a whole bunch of movies that we draw upon. I guess in terms of recent stuff. What would I say?
Black Swan?
Yeah, Black Swan was pretty amazing. But I mean, we watched lots of old stuff as well. And sometimes, listening to old music or watching old movies is kind of cool because it's sort of something that often doesn't come from your own place and time. So you get these sort of weird ideas you don't quite know, where they've come from. But often that's a good thing to inspire you.
Cool. Now, talking, Need You Now is the last single. Do you have plans to release another one, or is it going to be the last one?
I think there is plans for another single. At the moment, we're just getting some more remixes, and I think that'll be in the pipeline in the next sort of month or two.
Now, do you get surprised that you're in the other side of the world and you have a lot of fans and a lot of people that are expecting your music? Do you realize it when you just start going worldwide as a musician?
Yeah, it's amazing for us and surprising. I remember the first time I came to Mexico with the band, and we had 3 shows booked, and we weren't really sure if we had a fan base here or not. Apparently we did, and the first show we did was a really big show, and over 1,000 people or more, maybe 1,500 people, and it was a big party, and we were blown away by the response. And we're just finding, you know, more and more places that we can go to around the world, where we maybe 10 years ago wouldn't have been able to, but because of, you know, the internet and the availability of information and music and the spread of culture, you know, the linking of youth culture around the world, seems to enable us to get to these places, which is great.
Yeah, but it was hard at the beginning to precisely spread your music around the world when you're so far away from most of the countries in the world.
Yeah, I mean, I think, I guess with our first record, it came out in Australia first and then didn't get released overseas until maybe a year or two later. It took some time. And I guess now it's a little bit different. You know, the culture's changed just because of, like Ben was saying, the internet and social media and that sort of thing. So when something's out in one country, it's out everywhere. It's instantaneous. So it's definitely changed a lot. And I guess, you know, back in the day, you know, sort of maybe 20 years ago or even longer, in Australia, you know, it was almost impossible for bands to play, you know, overseas because you needed to have a big label to support you. You needed to be played on the radio. And it was very hard, I guess, coming from somewhere so far away as Australia to sort of make it in other countries. But now it seems like it's you know, quite even, you know. Coming from Australia is the same as, you know, starting out in New York or you know, London or, you know, any of these sort of cultural centres.